You are listening to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all the latest news, Overwatch League results, and mishaps in Overwatch. Here are your hosts, Totemly Drunk and Edinar.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all things Overwatch. I am your host, Totemly Drunk, and tonight on episode 176, we'll let you know what's been going down over the last week, both in Overwatch and Overwatch Esports. We will take a look at some of the hottest community topics from this past week, reflect on everything that went down in the play-in tournament for the Overwatch League, and look ahead because it is playoff time in Overwatch League. We got our Week 1 preview and so much more. But before we can jump into the news and introduce you to my co-host, let me just quickly take a moment to thank everyone who is joining us tonight on Twitch for a live show. And of course, thank all of our repeat listeners out there. So joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Edinar. And Ed, what a crazy week it's been. We've seen Sigma in the Overwatch League just styling on people. We've seen Season 18 of Competitive drop with unintended results, which some people were clamoring for, but that are probably regretted, but more on that later. But we also have playoffs finally for the Overwatch League. There's been a lot of stuff going on, but how has this past week been treating you?
This past week's been pretty good. You know, it was a nice, holiday weekend, 3 days off. Got to spend a lot of it with family, a lot of it playing, well, not a lot playing Classic WoW, a lot playing Classic WoW Q, which seems to have gone down dramatically in the past 2 days. Like, I tried logging on like an hour and a half ago, and it was only a 10-minute queue. So I'll take that. Great Overwatch games. Some great, some not so great. We got to see what I don't think anyone was predicting the new meta was going to be in the Overwatch League play-ins and all that fun stuff. So it's been a chaotic week. Lots of deals, which we'll talk about. Lots of things going on sale. Lots of things getting sold. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's an overwhelming amount of like Overwatch news coming out this week, which is starting to become the norm. It's like in every 2 to 3 weeks we just get just giant dumps of Overwatch stuff on us. So
Yeah.
I worded that horribly.
Yeah, that's what
We get giant dumps on us. No? Alright. So how's your week been, Totem?
It's been good. I did not play Q Simulator in WoW Classic because, I was actually able to get on. And then when I didn't want to sit in Q, I just worked on my other server. So it's just like, obviously we mainly rolled on White Main on Horde with, a lot of the other podcast communities. And then whenever it was a 5.5 hour queue or whatever god awful time it was at the time, I would be playing on Benediction with some other IRL friends. So it's been a healthy mix of the two. So obviously, I haven't made as much progress as I would like to have hoped, seeing as, I was on vacation the past week. But I am really enjoying the game, and it seems like a lot of other people are as well, so it's really great to see. And, just the overall community has been pretty passionate about it, which is nice to see, despite how many people were kind of, begrudging about it going in. It's been a pretty quick turnaround, and a ton of people have been coming back just for Classic. But we're not here to talk about WoW. We're here to talk about Overwatch, guys. And we do have an update on Overwatch, specifically for Nintendo Switch. It is, in fact, coming out. That whole Switch case that was, posted on the Amazon that ended up getting pulled was actually hinting at the release of Overwatch on Switch, and the news got leaked ahead of today's Nintendo Direct. Now, when is Overwatch coming out on Nintendo Switch? Well, it is coming out on October 15th, and this is going to be the second major port that we are going to see that week for the Nintendo Switch, because it's going to release alongside The Witcher 3. Now, I know for me, knowing how The Witcher 3 runs, it's probably not going to run as well on Switch. So part of me's just like, oh boy, hopefully this doesn't mean we're gonna have issues with Overwatch. But this is the second Blizzard title to get ported over to the Switch, the other one being Diablo 3. And all I want to know, Ed, is, I know with Diablo 3, Switch players got like a cosmetic armor skin to look like Ganondorf. Are we going to see the same thing with the Overwatch release on Switch, even if it's just like one skin? Because it's not like anyone outside of that player pool, because it is on Switch at this point, is going to see it, so... Or if it's just going to cause an uproar if that is the case, but I want to see something Nintendo-based for a skin, even if it's just one.
You know what? I think it will be. We will get that. The problem is it will be Switch exclusive, and not on PC or PlayStation or Xbox or anything like that. Like you said, with Diablo, that was Switch exclusive to them. So I think we will, but I don't think it's going to come out to PC, which is a shame. And I know Reddit will be, Reddit, because Reddit is the cesspool of the internet, and all they do is complain. So like they could be giving it for free, and then they'd still probably complain. But it's one of those things where probably, but you'll be upset that you can't get it unless you own a Switch, and then buy another version of Overwatch for the Switch, and without crossplay enabled. That's a big thing. Like, you're starting to see that more and more now, as you're starting to get like some games going over to cross save and stuff like that. Not crossplay, but cross save. And it doesn't hurt Blizzard's sales at all, because you still have to buy the game for Switch. It's just it shares an account, so you can like go for all the skins on one account instead of having to re-get them on numerous accounts. So, hopefully we do. Hopefully it's awesome. And even more, hopefully it's also available on PC, because there have been some good ones thrown around. Sully Winston skin is the most popular one I've seen.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the Switch port is the demographic, I would say, with Nintendo is probably a lot bigger, and it scales kind of to the younger side. So, like, I know, Spider was talking about, his daughter likes to play Overwatch, but I know at times she can struggle using keyboard and mouse. Like, a console like Nintendo Switch is honestly great for the younger audience to pick up and start playing Overwatch. So I'm really excited to see how that is going to evolve over time. But the real question is, do I go out and buy an 8th version of Overwatch? Because I have six battle tags with Overwatch, and then I have it on PS4, and it comes out my birthday week. So it's just like, I'm kind of leaning towards yes, just so I can do like a head-to-head comparison in regards to like how the game runs, SR differentials between the two platforms versus on PC, all of that good stuff. But for me, since I do play on the Switch a lot more than PS4, I feel like it would be more of a natural fit as opposed to playing on PS4, which I only play like once every 6 months or something, So I feel like it will be a little bit more in my wheelhouse, so that might reflect better in my overall performance.
See, all right, I'm going to ask you one thing, Total. When is the last time you played it on the PlayStation?
Okay, I'm trying to think. It wasn't with the Sigma release.
Okay.
I would say it was about a month ago. But, like, normally, like, I only hop on, I play a few games of arcade, and then I would hop off. But at least now, here's the thing, like, with Roll Q in now, the likelihood of me actually playing on different platforms actually goes up, because I'm not going to be dealing with, the 5 DPS or whatever whenever I am hopping on to play. So at least a level in experience, just due to roll queue, is actually going to be for the better. So it'll be better moving forward, I would say.
I would say hold off. Not just because, it'd be your 8th version, but they're gonna release it at full price when it comes out.
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, we've also seen Overwatch marked down a lot over the years. Who's to say that it is going to be, like, $60?
But when's the last time they released it for the first time on a brand new console? Like, take that. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be full price for long, but I could see till maybe Black Friday is when they probably knock it down 40%.
Right. I'm going to see if it's listed on Amazon.
Yeah. Because it's one of those things where it's just I feel they're just going to release it at full price initially for the Switch. If that's the case, I don't know if it's worth it for someone like you.
I don't see it posted on Amazon.
Yeah.
But looking at like the other console prices, the Game of the Year editions are like $27-$28.
Mm-hmm. And they could drop for something like that. And if it's something like that, definitely buy it, because that's a pretty good deal. If it's $60, there's going to be a lot of other great games coming out that you can spend $60 on.
Right.
And this isn't a knock on like Overwatch. I mean, it would be your 8th version of Overwatch. You're good. Go buy Borderlands 3 when that comes out, for the same price that you got your 8th copy of Overwatch.
So, I mean, there's also like a month in between those releases, though.
Yes. Also, make sure you buy it at least by BlizzCon. Also, make sure you bring your Switch with you to BlizzCon. Because then Ednar gets to try it as well. See, it's all coming full circle.
The real question is, are we gonna have any motion controls? Probably not, I would imagine, but you never know. I mean, it's Nintendo; they're kind of notorious for that. But I'm curious to see how it runs on Switch,
okay.
Especially when you're comparing like the docked version as opposed to say like the handheld.
All right, here's the important question. Which character... Well, 2 important questions. If you were to pick one character to go into Smash, who would it be? 2, who would get the Luigi skin in Overwatch?
Hanzo? Because he's kind of like the lesser appreciated brother.
Wait, no. Okay, I was gonna be like, which Hanzo? Which one?
I went with the Luigi one first. That would be my guess. But for me, like, the most obvious choice would be Tracer. If I were to just handpick someone that I would prefer to see, ported over to a fighting game. I would prefer D.Va between the two, just because it would be a unique hero kit, and also 2 characters in one. But then again, I also think, well, that's kind of be a balance in Nightmare. But she's consistently always been good, and hopefully that would translate into Smash Brothers.
I would actually say, Spider said Doomfist. That's a good choice. I think Winston fits into that kind of play style of a game. Like, you can easily turn on, Monkey Smash, and, you can easily do something like that. Throwing around people, the graphics would be cool. So, I would choose Winston as my first one for that. As far as the Luigi skin, May. No, May's already got like the Luigi style skin, like the green hat and green shorts.
Yeah, the honeydew.
Yeah, the honeydew one. So can't really do that. Soldier 76 is a pretty crappy option for it. I don't know. It would probably be Genji or Hanzo for Luigi. Yeah. I think that's probably the safe bet.
Yeah.
But Sully Winston from Monsters Inc. all the way.
So moving on, we do have a holiday week because of, Labor Day, and alongside that, we have a Labor Day sale going on right now in regards to the Blizzard Gear Store. So select merchandise has been marked down anywhere from like 30 to 75%. And then, of course, with most of the sales, any order over $100 USD will be shipped for free. Now, Ed, I know you spent a little bit of time before the show kind of like looking at some of the stuff that's marked down. I know one of the bigger things, were like some of the nice hoodies. I know a lot of the Funko Pops have been marked down as well. There's a lot of variety here in regards to the sale. So was there anything in particular that really stood out amongst, the field?
A lot of the hoodies were actually really nice. I'm 100% going to be buying at least $100 worth of gear for this because I need to update some of my Overwatch gear and, get some nice new Overwatch gear for when I go out to BlizzCon.
Yeah, you could buy your Torb hammer for like $28.
Yeah, see, exactly. But like the hoodies are definitely the things that stuck out to me as being like pretty drastic. Like you can get them as low as some of the pullover hoodies at $22, which is super cheap. Otherwise, I think the majority of them are $30, and a lot of shirts, stuff like that. The Junkrat Rip Tire backpack, I think, is 50% off too. And then they got some Pachimari stuff. That's all like 50% off. So maybe Slambo will get that.
If he doesn't already own it.
R.I.P. Slambo. Let's see. You can get that. You remember that Genji sword?
Mm-hmm.
That's 50% off. So you can get the Gengu sword for $100.
Yeah, you can get it when you Naruto run like a weeb at the Area 51 raid.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can deflect all the bullets. Damn,
see?
Solved it. Got it.
Another big one is there's a couple of like old school hoodies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the old like Soldier 76 blue red 76. That's like $18. And it's not just Overwatch stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's also a lot of Warcraft. It's basically all around. It's just we're obviously concentrating the most on the Overwatch stuff.
The most important stuff.
Mm-hmm. This is not Overwatch League stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So none of that is included. So let's not get there. And then you mentioned the Funko Pops. I think 16 of the Funko Pops are on sale, and I think they're all basically $5 now. So you can go on there, except for the big ones, like the supersized and oversized ones. They're all $5. So obviously Spider has them all. But if you don't, you could definitely go out there and get some fun ones. But yeah, I mean, you can for $100 you can probably get 2-3 hoodies, 2 t-shirts. That's all right by my book.
That's a pretty
free shipping with all of that. So definitely go check it out. This is almost like a Black Friday sale on Overwatch gear.
So not only do we have that going on right now in regards to the Blizzard Gear Store, but they also added a new Overwatch statue, which is available to pre-order now. So the latest Overwatch hero to get the statue treatment is Mei, who is actually the 10th Overwatch hero to be getting the statue treatment, and she stands at over 11 inches tall. And this one comes in at $175, which is honestly like pretty much like the average price point. Obviously you have like some of the larger statues that have ended up costing more, like the Doomfist one as well as the Diva one, and the statues are expected to ship out before the end of the year, so around the holidays. But like I really enjoy how much detail goes into these. Obviously all of the statues are handcrafted. I will not get one of the Antichrist, because Mei isn't even in probably like my top 20 played heroes. but you have to appreciate the amount of work that actually goes into each one. But I know for all the Mei fans out there, this is probably going to be a must-buy just with how much work gets put into it, and, you know, it features, like, all the things you would expect to see from Mei, so overall, pretty happy with the quality, but, you know, at $175, it's just, it's too costly, in regards to, for me at least, because, like, I really wouldn't have any way to display the statues. It's probably the biggest thing. But, you know, if you're decorating your office or things like that, you got the shelf space, absolutely go out and expand your collection.
Now, have they said, I know they said it's going to be available for pre-order. Have they said when it will actually be shipped?
It would
when?
It would be Q4.
Oh, so that's actually not bad. Like, I actually expected it to, like, be, like, Q2, 2019,
yeah,
2020.
It's not like 6 months, like you're
6 to 12 months,
yeah.
you get this. I mean, it's pretty cool. She is the Antichrist. It's a cool statue. It's a bit pricey, but basically all the statues are a bit pricey. Let's be real.
And that's normal.
Yeah, it's what you get. Like, the cheapest statue truly really out there, outside of the Soldier 76 one you got for the collector's edition from Blizzard, is probably the Ragnaros one for the newly released, like, WoW Classic commemorative edition, and, you know, the Ragnaros one that you got with that for $100. But, like, standalone statue, this is probably the cheapest one they got. So, you know what? Good for them. I'm not going to buy it at all. But, you know, it looks pretty cool. I will give them that. It actually is probably one of the cooler looking ones.
Yeah, and, you know, there's obviously a market for it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 10 at this point. So obviously, they're selling enough units to warrant continuing to do work on these.
Yeah, like, would you rather have the Mei statue or the Overwatch magnetic levitating snowball? Because they're the same price.
Well, I could have sworn when we talked about the snowball, it was, like, really tiny. Like, the size of it was, like, 3 or 4 inches or something. Like, it wasn't as large as, like, a statue, per se. I mean, it looked cool, but, you know, I always get really nervous with magnets, especially when, like, I would probably just have it on a desk and to be near electronics, so. For me, I'd prefer, like, a statue over that.
Oh, I would. I mean, I would too, but, you know, it's just one of those things is they're all $175 except for the Doomfist and Diva one. They're not going to go down in price, and in the future, all of them will be $175. And it's just kind of what it is.
Until the Wrecking Ball one comes out. That would probably be one of the premium ones, if I had to guess.
Yeah, probably. I can see that being the premium one. Wrecking Ball. Do you get a discount on Sigma for not having shoes? You get less of a statue?
I highly doubt it.
That's horseshit.
Just tweet at him. Really angry.
Be like, I feel robbed.
Yeah. As you should. So outside of the merchandise news, guys, we are looking at Overbuff, who have collected data revealing the most popular heroes throughout August, specifically in competitive play. Now, it did take into account both PC and popularity on, PS4 and Xbox, and while a lot of these had similar results, there were a couple of differences in each category. So looking at the top 5 played in regards to PC, for the damage heroes, we have McCree, Genji, Hanzo, Widowmaker, and Ashe. With the differences on console being that Genji's popularity sees a pretty significant drop, while Reaper's value goes up extensively. Now, Dexerto didn't actually have the full console rating, so I don't know if that means, like, that Reaper made it into the top 5, or if he was, like, one of the bubble heroes, so to speak. But it's kind of surprising knowing that, working without a keyboard and mouse, it's honestly a lot harder to play a sniper, so to see 3 snipers on there would be kind of an eyebrow raiser, since it kind of goes against the norm, so to speak, or at least what I've seen on console.
Yeah, I would have expected, taking into account console, you would expect to see more of the no aim, no brain type of heroes, like the Bastions, the Torbjorns, even Symmetras, that you tend to see more on consoles, from my experience. This is just from my experience. I'm not saying all over. Don't get mad at me.
That was definitely more inflated at launch. It's kind of differentiated quite a bit since then.
Yeah, but the more carefully aimed characters are generally not as popular or as effective on consoles as they are on PCs. That's just a fact. So it is surprising that you definitely see, the Hanzo, the Widowmaker, and the Ashe on there. I'm assuming that has a lot to do with the PC kind of taking the larger portion of all that stuff.
The better question is, why didn't they just list Bob?
Because the ultimate was increased, and you get less Bobs.
Oh, okay.
See? And then, McCree as the number 1 is actually kind of surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Because McCree has probably one of the most useless ults in the game. Let's be real. Not many people are dying to his ult. It's a zoning ult for DPS. Zoning ults for DPS are not good. Zoning ults for DPS are not good ultimates for DPS. You want the DPS ultimate to actually be increased damage, get more kills, stuff like that. So take that into account with both all the shields that we're seeing. It's just weird that McCree's out there that much as the number 1 play damage dealer. So that surprised me for sure.
Mm-hmm. So moving on to the tanks, really not too much variation between the two. So our top 5 consists of Orisa, Roadhog, Reinhardt, Wrecking Ball, and D.Va. Now the only difference on console is that Wrecking Ball and D.Va swap spots, so Wrecking Ball would be the 5th most popular, with D.Va being the 4th most. And really, honestly, in the current meta that we're seeing, it's at the time, before Sigma came out, not surprised that, pulled pork was at the forefront in regards to the tanks. And obviously, since then, this is probably going to look drastically different with the release of Sigma. You would probably see Reinhardt probably being the odd man out at this point, I would say. But, it's interesting that I'm not surprised, Wrecking Ball is lower on console, just because, I know, even at times we struggle, actually working with the air control whenever you're swinging around. And I can only imagine how that's going to be on console. I've stayed away from playing Wrecking Ball at all. I haven't even tried him on PS4 yet, and I would be hesitant to even pick him in the first place. Just knowing that the movement would be kind of weird, because you're obviously to be slowed down with the control scheme. But Orisa has basically been at the forefront for a while now, whether it was pulled pork or now double barrier. And it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon with the introduction of Sigma in competitive play.
Yeah, this, Orisa's probably going to be there towards the top for a while. The Roadhog, the pulled pork, yeah, that was, that's definitely going to change. D.Va being number 5 is actually fairly surprising to me, just because when you take into account all of competitive play, D.Va is a lot of times just the safe choice for people. Mm-hmm. That is they're okay, I need to play tank, I need to play off tank. A lot of times they'll just choose D.Va because she's a catch-all for tanks. Yeah, she's not going to block much damage, but she's got the mobility, she's got the damage output, she's got the decent ult, all that stuff. People love playing her. She doesn't run out of ammo. having her as the fifth tank was actually, I figured she'd be top 2, 3. And to have D.Va behind Wrecking Ball, that was weird. Like, that was weird. Like, I can maybe see D.Va being fourth behind Reinhardt, Roadhog, and Orisa, but I can't see D.Va being below Wrecking Ball. Maybe that's just me being crazy.
I guess that just comes to show that, popularity, even in R34, it dips at times. It takes a hit across the board.
I guess so.
I guess, like, the internet break-in skin just didn't do it enough. And D.Va's popularity, went down a little bit, and then everyone just looks at, the Hamps and be like, oh, cute, let's play this. Maybe it's because they finally learned how, when they swing, not to, like, throw themselves off the map.
I forgot that it was a game-breaking skin. That nobody realized was a game-breaking skin. That was horrible. But yeah, we'll see how this all comes out now that Sigma's added, because I assume Sigma will jump into the top 5 rather quickly.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then last up we have the support line. So our top 5 consists of Ana, Moira, Mercy, Zenyatta, and Lucio on PC. The only difference with Council is that Ana's popularity actually sees a significant drop. Now, Ed, here's the question. Why is it that the other snipers don't drop for damage, but Ana does on support? Like, is it just the sum of the parts? What the heck could it be?
So I have a theory on Ana, and why so many people pick Ana is people love playing snipers. People will come in and be like, okay, I'm going to play Widowmaker, Hanzo, Ashe. I'm going to play some form of sniper. But then they're not quick enough to select the snipers. And then they're like, well, we need a healer. Well, I can play Ana and still snipe. So I'm going to do that. That's my theory on why Ana's picked so much. Like, Ana, Moira probably will be some of the top 2, because DPS players will get annoyed that they have to play support, and they'll, pick Ana because, it's the closest thing they have to, insta-locking Widow. And then they'll play Moira, where they'll just throw out damage orbs and not heal anyone. This is the cynic in me, but tell me I'm not wrong.
Depends on the Moira.
Like, let's be real. We all know it's true. And then you have Mercy behind that, because Mercy is, at its core, I'm saying high-end Mercy gameplay is fairly difficult, but at its core, Mercy is probably the simplest pure healer, because you just left-click on somebody, and you're
she's also the only pure healer.
Yeah, well, no, her she can shoot people.
Yeah,
she
I mean,
can kill.
When we're comparing her to the field and the toolkits, it's
yes. But like she basically she can just stand there, left click, and heal whoever. So it's quite an easy healer to play, especially at mid to lower ranks.
She can also pop Valk and then destroy anyone in Graphitic Flux.
That's the only way you should be using her. Plain and simple. If you're not doing that, you basically are failing at the game.
Yeah, basically. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the hot community topics, which all revolve around competitive Season 18. And this, by far, was my favorite thing of the week. So, competitive Season 18, it was set to come out. We were going to release our Sigma Deep Dive, which is going live tonight, by the way. And something kind of...
Are we sure?
I can't confirm or deny. I will log into the YouTube at some point and clarify.
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't want to just give Spider the benefit of the doubt. But basically...
why would you do that?
See, competitive Season 18 was live, right? And, something happened. Unintentionally. That caused, like, this huge ruckus. So, okay, so MMR essentially was thrown out the damn window. Like, it was reset. Surprise! Everyone got what they wanted. And what happened, Ed? We had GM players get in match with golds during placements. You had Overwatch League players, like Choi Hyo Bin, placing at 2313 SR in gold. And, you know, for the longest time, we've always heard, why can't they just reset the SR? Now, the worst part about this is the fact that we now know that they can, but it still begs the question, should they? And what happened? They disabled competitive season 18 for like 3 or 4, I can't remember how long it was at least 3 to 5 days, but it was just like, you guys wanted it, surprise, here it is, it's a bug. And then the quality of games were absolute trash, and it made me laugh so hard, because it's like, I keep telling people, like, you think you want it until you're put into that position, and then you still have to wait out the filtering of player skill ratings, and then, you know, you get wonky things like GM players playing with golds.
I mean, okay. Yes, it was an anecdote that it was, you know, these pro players are getting, you know, thrown down in my level. And, you know, yes, it will lead to the jokes of, God, I hope I see them in. Like, imagine the gold level player who logs on to do placements and you get matched with Choyo. Just like, wait a second, something's not right here. That's funny. Now, yes, everyone wants an MMR reset. I want an MMR reset. I don't want a hardline MMR reset, like back to day one of the game. I want a soft MMR reset. More along the lines of maybe an MMR reset to get rid of your play, your, you know, season, or diminish your previous season slowly. That kind of MMR reset. Like, so you're not, you know, season 1 isn't screwing with you in season 18 type of situation. Not a hard reset. But yes, all those people who are like, we want a hard reset, this is what it is. You don't want that. Because no game will be fair for 2 seasons. Like, really, like, no season will be fair. Because imagine Choi Bin placing in 2200, 2300. Yeah, he's got to climb. He's got to climb a lot to get back to where he was at. And yeah, he could do it, but is he going to really do it that quickly? Is he going to feel motivated to do that?
Well,
Probably
that
not.
depends if we keep the 80 to 100 SR swings.
Oh, Lord, that was bad too. So they took it down. They brought it back up. I don't know. Is it still up? Did they take it back down again?
It's up. It's up.
It's up.
As of yesterday.
Have we heard anything horrible about it?
That I don't know. But, you know, Season 18 is officially underway for real this time. You know, it's not just like, we pulled one and, you know, we took it down. But also we do have Roll Queue making its way into Quick Play. So, you know, the old Quick Play rules are now kind of thrown into Arcade. So I don't know if that means, like, it's going to be rotated, or if it's going to be, like, one of the stationary
They
ones.
said it was going to be a stationary there permanently. And I love Quick Play Roll Queue. I love it. Because a lot of times, like, when we'll be playing, we'll be like, okay, let's log on, let's do a Quick Play real quick to warm up. Well, Quick Play to warm up is generally one of the biggest shit shows out there. Like,
Unless you lock in what you want to play.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm all for this. So I can't wait for it to, you know, to hear all the complaining. I have not gone on Overwatch Reddit yet since.
If I had to make a guess, we know there's complaining, It'll probably be similar to what we saw in the Roll Queue beta, where people aren't seeing that much of a differential in regards to their SR, even with roll lock in place, or they feel like they're probably still going to place too high on off rolls, even though they're worse than what their MMR shows, or their skill rating shows. We'll keep a closer eye on it as the season progresses, once we, talk with the community more after they do their placement matches. But if I had to guess, it's probably going to be very similar to what we saw in the beta season. So I would expect, there's going to be moments like where we see those wild fluctuations whenever, you win or lose. Kind of like what we saw on your end when we were doing our placements in the prior season. But who knows? Like, I don't want to be like, oh, everything's going to be perfect now, just because, like, we do know that, they are... using the data that they had from the Roll Queue season. And I would assume that would also mean that that would include, like, the past 3 to 5 days or whatever it was when, the competitive season was reverted back to Roll Queue beta season. But we'll keep an eye on it, but I am ecstatic that Roll Queue is coming to quick play. But I know there are people out there that don't like that that's happening. But at least, they're still able to play it in an environment that's more suited to their needs or, their wants. And, along the way, it also knocks out arcade loot boxes for the week for them.
Yeah, no, it's great because now you have a non-arcade, a non-mystery heroes that you can spam in arcade to get those 9 loot boxes if you really want. And, yeah, like you said, you're going to have those haters out there for Roll Queue, but, I mean, we had those same haters who were adamant and threatening to quit the game because we got rid of no limit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the game would be way worse right now if there was still no limit in competitive. So, you know what? Sometimes you hate it when it starts, but then you look back and you're like, oh yeah, that was a good call. Probably shouldn't have complained so much. So, but yeah. Good move. Can't wait to see how it is in a couple weeks because we gotta get our placements done here soon.
Mm-hmm. In between all the WoW Classic.
Yes.
And that's the other thing too. Like, I know, like, so many of us have been deep diving into Classic. Like, I'm worried when we get back into playing Overwatch a lot that it's gonna be a little bit of a transition period. It's gonna take a couple of days to get our feet underneath us.
Yeah, just a bit.
Because, it's a little different.
Yeah, it's just a tad bit different.
I mean, even if you're playing a Hunter and you're moving over to play Hanzo, still pretty different. Just saying.
Yeah, because Hanzo can still shoot when they're in your face. Whereas in a Hunter, if they're in your face, you're like, Raptor Strike, auto attack, Raptor Strike.
Wing clip, let me retreat, concussive.
Run like hell, run like hell. Yeah, see, that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into what's been going on in competitive Overwatch or esports in general. So it is award season, and we did have the 2019 Rollstar winners announced, as well as the winner of the Dennis Helvelka Award. So let's start with the Rollstars. So just as a reminder, these were voted based upon the general managers, head coaches, broadcast talent, and select media members. So we were looking at voting in 4 players per role. And these were using the player impact rating system that was recently added, by Captain Planet and the crew. And looking at the damage roll stars, we have a pretty interesting mix. We have Corey, Dane, Hoxel, and Sinatra, and then he also added their honorable mentions, who were DM, Airster, Jinmu, and Rascal. Now, I feel like with Rascal, honestly, this season in particular, I would put him in the discussion either on damage or support, just because when you look at the field, when we're talking about Baptiste play, Rascal is always the first one in that discussion. He was at the forefront. It was very similar to, like, what Mickey did with Brigitte last season with the Dallas Field, when it was actually play in, and, you know, not just stand in, wait in for a game to get on pause or anything like that. But Rascal, I would probably have put in over Corey, but, like, I kind of understand why they put in Corey, just because of how much of a drastic turnaround and how fresh the Justice, how quickly the Justice kind of, like, turned, I don't want to say their season around, but how drastic of a change it was stage to stage for them in particular. But I know some people are just like, Corey only played DPS for one stage, but, you know, you have Jinmu, who's an honorable mention, who was really one of the first ones to play DPS and did it throughout the year. Granted, he got progressively worse in retrospect, but that's kind of besides the point.
Yeah, I like you bring up the whole Rascal thing with, okay, he could be damage or support, and I actually think that hurt him in regards to this. Is people were split. Like, he was a top-notch damage dealer, but he was also a top-notch support when he played Baptiste. Like, where do you put him? He probably loses some votes because of that. Like, they're like, well,
I will
was
say,
he a better damage dealer than Haxel? No.
To that point, though, they also nominated Sinatra for damage, even though he primarily played Zarya and then got benched in Stage 4 when DPS were meta.
Okay. If we're going with the Zarya tactic here, then truly you have to throw out the first 3 stages.
Yeah.
Like you would have to. So, you know, Haxel, probably not up there either. Like, let's be real. The way the Titans played, you know, outside of 3-3, he didn't play that all that much. He played, but he also got benched. Titans were joking around, putzing around. You know, you could put Prophet up there. Jinmu would be an automatic include. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just, you can't.
I feel like it's the biggest thing is, it's like, if you just completely negated these players that flex to other roles, Stage 1 through 3, that list would practically be non-existent, is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get that. It's just, I don't know. I just don't think, like, Rascal is so good, but he is not elite at any one thing. So when you think of it, you look up and you look at Corey, elite level for damage dealers. I mean, Corey, elite Widowmaker, Dig, elite Pharah, Sinatra, elite Zarya, Haxel, elite. Well, there's a bunch.
Primarily Genji, though.
Primarily Genji. So you have that. Is Rascal elite at what DPS?
Well, I mean, he's really good at projectile, but, like, no one would put him over Dean in this case.
No one would put him over Ding. Like, I wouldn't put him over Corey, because Corey 100% was a hard carry for the Washington Justice. I think Corey deserves that spot, and obviously I'm not taking Haxel out. So it would be between Sinatra and Rascal, I think. I would not include DM, I would not include Erster or Jinmu, or really anyone else. I think they nailed this top 4, and the only thing is you could put Rascal in for Sinatra and vice versa, and that could be a rotating spot. So I think they did very good with the damage dealers. I actually was surprised at how well this list actually turned out. Like, all of them. So DPS, you know, they did fine. I'm good with it. I'm good with putting Sinatra in there. I mean, he is the MVP of the league.
Yeah, by a landslide.
Yeah. It's not official yet.
He's winning by a landslide due to the lack of China votes.
Yeah, way to go, Twitter.
But you know what? You know, Guxue is walking away with something. I mean, he was nominated as a tank role star alongside Choi Hyo-bin, even though he's gold, Mono, and Super. With your honorable mentions for tanks being Amain, Bumper, Fury, and Janu. Now, Ed, for me, like, the tank one would be the hardest one to do.
Yes.
Like, I feel like you definitely have those elite DPS, those elite support players. But Tank is so strong across the board, outside of a couple teams. And, like, Fury would always be in top 4 for me. Like for off Tank. But, like, I can't be like, oh, well, like, this player actually played, like, absolute crap this year, so I can't say that none of these players aren't deserving of getting nominated. I mean, you look at Gushue, who's been really the centerpiece for the Spark. Troy has just had this level of consistency either on Devo or just been so dominant on the Roadhog with some insane hook accuracy. Super, I mean, the aggression of the Shock was on full display, so, like, no surprise on that end.
Right?
And then Mono has always just kind of been...
He's a grizzled old veteran.
He's kind of like the gold standard for main tank. Like, he's a measuring stick, so to speak, because he's, like, despite any sort of, strength of schedule issues or anything like that, Mono is always at the forefront on the main tank stats. And he's just consistently hitting the same points time and time again. So I'm not too surprised there, but across the board, I was really happy with every pick that they made on the tank one.
Yeah, I mean, Choi and Gushue and Mono, I fully agree with. Super, not so much. I probably would have put Janu on there. Or Bumper. I think one of the Vancouver Titans tank line members deserve to be on this list.
And at least in that case, one of them wasn't benched.
Exactly.
For
So, it's one of those things where I can still see Super, but you know what? I think somebody from the Titans should have been up there. It's not bad that Super was put on the list. I mean, he is Team USA's main tank. Woo! Go USA. No. I can't do that with a straight face. But it's fine. A-Man does not deserve to be up there.
For a top 4, no.
No, he's awesome to watch on Hammond. But he's a great hamster. But he's not a great main tank.
I will say, like, I feel like in that regard, main does kind of get a bad rap because of it. But I wouldn't say it was to the point where we're, like, scoffing at the idea anytime that a main would switch off of Wrecking Ball to play other tanks. Because there were moments when he would come in and play Reinhardt, and teams didn't really know how to deal with it, just because it was, like, a completely different look. Now, I will say, like, there were, at times, some diminishing returns with that whenever there was a swap. But for someone that was so known for playing Wrecking Ball whenever they did go 2-3-3, they weren't as bad as you would have expected, knowing that wasn't their primary strat.
No, I completely agree with you. Like, when you saw the MN on Reinhardt, you're just like, wait a second. Something's not right here. We game plan for 4 straight maps of Wrecking Ball. What do we do now? And then it throws everything off. I'm surprised they didn't do it more. But they probably wanted to keep the element of surprise. I don't know. I think the Hunters have a lot to think about all season.
They do.
Especially when it comes to their tank line, because with Rogue Q, you can't do what the Hunters have been doing and succeed. So they, would anyone be like truly surprised if a man wasn't on the team next year, or wasn't even in the Overwatch League?
That's a hard thing to say. Like, I would be more surprised by other names.
Yes, Trentford, Jamiroquai couldn't take his place. Because we all know I am amazing at pronouncing Korean names. Yep. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Jamiroquai.
Yeah, Chichirin.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Top hats, walks down a little walking escalator. Sings Virtual Insanity.
Yeah.
Same person.
So, moving on to the support role stars this year, we have IDK, Kariv, Moth, and Twilight. With your honorable mentions going to last year's MVP, Jonak, Shu, Slime, and Violet. So, a pretty healthy mix of main supports and flex supports, which I was really happy to see. Because normally, for the longest time, it's always been, like, the flex supports are the hard carries with the support lines. I wouldn't say that's fully to the extent this year, because even in the current meta, we have seen how important Sound Barrier is to help negate the Gravitic Flux. And, we know, with the rise of Pharah play, or teams just opting to play Pharah throughout the year, how much value we get to see out of the Mercy picks across the board. But, it's pretty interesting seeing, like Kariv up there, when, he didn't technically play the role all season. But, there was a time when he wasn't going to play, and then there were times when there was a lot of experimentations being done by the Valiant. But you still have, I think for me, probably the other thing that's just like, well, wow, the Dynasty support line isn't even on the list at all. Even though they've been kind of consistently there, they haven't quite had the same carry, but they kind of changed in the play-ins, which we'll go into in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one where I was surprised the most. I think they got it right. And I did not think that they'd go this route. Like, I did not expect 2 main supports to be listed. I love this list. I think Twilight, Moth, and IDK are 3 of the 3 that mandatory should be on there. From everything you saw, those 3. Kariv, like you said, is the one where I was just like, maybe like honorable mention, sure. Violet was amazing. Slime was amazing. Shu was really good, and you had Jonak, but they could have gone any direction with this. I'm just happy they got 2 main supports in there. And they got the right 2 main supports. Toby could have been included, sure. Jaehong could have been, but he was so starting, not starting, starting, not starting throughout most of the season, honestly, that it's just like, okay, so much inconsistency there. Let's just go with somebody who's played more consistently lately in Kariv. And Kariv has been the all-star of the Valiant. So I can see it. It's just, I'm good with this list. I'm good with those 4. I really have no complaints. Maybe throw Violet in there instead of Kariv. That would probably be the only thing, because Violet was pretty clutch for the San Francisco Shock all year.
Yep, well, the support role star wasn't the only award that went to the LA Valiant, because it was Custa, who is the captain of the LA Valiant, and, their current main support player, who took home the Dennis Havelka Award, which, honestly, like, that whole segment, was pretty emotional. You could definitely tell Mickey, and Uber, were affected by that moment. Because even Mickey was getting pretty choked up whenever he was on the mic. So, like, we all saw the Valiant season, they got off to a rough start. They had that 0-7 stage, and they, over time, turned their season around. They put themselves in a position to potentially make the play-in tournament, but unfortunately that kind of collapsed when they had to finish the season in a must-win situation against the LA Gladiators and the San Francisco Shock, in which they did not take a win when they just needed to pick up a win there. But, Custa has kind of had an interesting season. There was a point where he wasn't play-in in the 3-3 meta, and during that time, we started to see him do more stuff kind of like behind the scenes with content creation. We saw like the Custom News Network pop up. He was doing charity campaigns for Valiant Plays for St. Jude Hospital. And, you know, he's done like jersey auctions. He's been donating his stream subs for St. Jude Children's Hospital. And that's been over $6,000 that has been raised just from Custa. Like, that's just not including like anything else that the Valiant did alongside that. And he's really kind of been the emotional leader and support structure of the Valiant team, and it's pretty clear just based off of everything that we've seen, and even, you know, having like one of the youngest players in the league in space, how much he looks up to Custa. And even dating back, you know, to last year, whenever Custa was traded from the Fuel, like, even the Fuel players were like throwing their hands up over the whole situation, like, well, why are we getting rid of this guy? Like, he's always so positive, and he keeps everyone kind of in the zone, so to speak, and then, you know, things just happen with the Fuel at this point. But I know a lot of people were like assuming it would be Gamzu, but these are one of the awards where, like, you can't really be like, well, this person obviously doesn't deserve this. I mean, it's more of a who has the biggest impact on, you know, the community, and Custa's put in a lot of work this year.
I will say this, at this point in the Overwatch League, is Custa the face of the Overwatch League? At this point. Like, a lot of people might have said Jake, but he's kind of publicly kind of come back a little. Mm-hmm. And Custa has come more to the front line. Like, I almost think Custa is the face of the Overwatch League at this point. And he's probably one of the most beloved people by fans and players in the Overwatch League. Mm-hmm. Great human being. Teammates love him. He's a leader. He will be a coach if he so chooses to be. Or he will be immediately hired to be on the desk for the Overwatch League as soon as he decides to stop playing. But he's destined for phenomenal things in the Overwatch League. And he has a pretty interesting backstory, too. You know, coming over, starting off his pro career playing video games in Canada, of all places, and stuff like that. I forgot where they did like a documentary on him. I believe the Valiant did in season 1. That I definitely, where they went out to Catalina, not the Catalina wine mixer.
I was gonna say,
but you know, he's you know, the Catalina island, and they interviewed him and stuff like that. And he started talking about how he got into it and all this stuff. He's a great person, and, you know, Trenchfoot says this in chat. He's the Western face of it, like, and that's important because, like, you will, like, Custa cannot be the face of the Overwatch League in Korea, just as much as, you know, JJoNak, as popular as he is, probably can't be the face of the Overwatch League in the US, because it's just, they're not out there doing the interviews like that, and, you know, all that stuff. It doesn't fit. It's just the nature of the business. So, you know, great for Custa to win this. I love the fact that he did. And he took it to heart, and he's saying, you know, that interaction between Mickey and all, it was a good moment. It was a very good moment. So I'm glad Custa won it. It was probably between him and Gamzu. But again, I'm also very mad at Gamzu, because the fact his dog was not on stage when they won stage 3 is beyond me. Like, that is the most lovable dog in the world. And they didn't bring him. I was disappointed. So he definitely lost some points there.
Well, I'm sure the Dragons are also disappointed since their season is over.
Wah, wah. I mean, they lasted longer than Custa.
This is true. Well, that's what happens when you actually make it to the play-ins.
See, there you go. And you don't go like 0 and whatever. Did they? Yeah, 0 and 7 in stage 1.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Turns out having an 0 and 7 stage in a 28 game season kind of
really
a bad
screws
thing.
you. Yeah, it really screws you a little bit. And the fact they still almost like it was down to one map for them to get in is insane.
Mhm.
So, but yep, I love the fact Custa won this.
Well, who knows? Maybe we'll start to see him on Pringles cans moving forward. You never know. Like we got the new Overwatch League deal with Kellogg Company, which is kind of like an extension of the previous like Overwatch Kellogg sponsorship. So this is a multi-year deal that is going throughout 2021. So we've already started to see like co-marketing being done between the two sides with the playoffs, as Kellogg's, Pringles, and Cheez-It Grooves have sponsored some of the halftime shows and highlight segments, which is great to see. And then started in 2020, both of these snacks are going to feature Overwatch League branding, and I know they're also doing a sweepstakes to, win a trip to the grand finals, so things like that. Now, I'm curious to see, like, if this is just going to be, like, base, like, an Overwatch League sponsorship, or if it's going to be, like, local marketing based on the area, so maybe we'll have, like, team-specific things, maybe player-specific. Like, we need, like, the Overwatch League Wheaties, something like that. To see if, we have any of the athletes starting to appear on merchandise. Like, I would not be surprised down the line if we see that happen. But this is Pringle's second entry in regards to, like, esports sponsorship. Because I know they're also doing something with League of Legends. But like, we talk about, like, the sponsorships coming in with the Overwatch League, and obviously a big part of that is something that we'll talk about in a bit in regards to, like, the average minute audience and how much that has grown year over year, and that's helped sustain and acquire these sponsorships that have been rolling in for the Overwatch League. And seeing how steady those numbers have been, these things are going to keep rolling in time and time again. So I wonder who, like, the next big sponsorship will be, but they just came in and immediately started advertising right out of the gates. Even before, like, we got, like, the official news about the sponsorship as well, which is kind of different, because normally, like, we hear about it and then, like, a week or two later we might to start to see the transition period to add in those advertisements with here, which is from the get-go.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's cool that Pringles did this, and Cheez-Its, once you pop, you can't stop. Let's be real.
Lucio does say, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah.
See?
That's what he's talking about. He's talking about Pringles, guys.
Product placement. And a game like Overwatch is kind of primed for stuff like this. Like, and we haven't truly seen it yet, which is kind of surprising to me, but a Pringles ad in game. And I'm not saying like an ad, but like Pringles billboards on one of the maps.
Numbani.
Exactly.
That'd be the one. That's the one that has all the billboards.
Blizzard World.
Yeah. Or
could be another one.
Busan.
Yep.
Like the downtown. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's something that if Pringles ends the relationship, you can easily take it out of the game. So Pringles is cool. It's better than Kit Kat after they introduced that disgusting mint Kit Kats. Still upset about that. But yeah, no, this is great. This is more and more, sponsorships and stuff like that is only good for the league. And they're getting it so quickly for being such a new league that, like, I am very interested to see what's coming up next. I almost envision, we have a little bit of it now, but I'm envisioning more individual team sponsorships once they go to their home cities. Like, you have, what is it, Jack in the Box for Houston?
Dallas.
Way
to confuse your Texas teams. See,
Whatever.
You should know, because you are Houston Outlaws fans. So you should know who their actual sponsors are.
No, the thing is, Houston can't be sponsored because they don't have any money. Um,
Well, that's how they would try to get money, is from the
ah,
sponsors.
and what was it? What movie was sponsoring? Was it The Valiant?
Well, the Shock were promoting Endgame. The Valiant at one point was promoting Ash versus Evil Dead.
That's Ash
With
versus Evil
stars.
Dead.
Yeah. Which, by the way, phenomenal series. You guys have to watch it. It's so good. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's good.
Is it though? But this was the movie they were advertising, not the series. So
Yeah, Valiant did promote a movie. I honestly can't remember what it was, but it was also in pretty close to when they started doing the Stars stuff.
yeah, so like I'm envisioning more individual team franchising, and Overwatch League getting cut, but like each individual team kind of going towards. This is a way for them to make more local money. Think of when sports organizations sell the naming rights to their stadiums, or sometimes they'll NASCAR drivers or some basketball teams this year are selling advertising rights on the jerseys. You might start seeing more stuff like that.
Which honestly, to me, is still like such a weird concept, like advertisements on jerseys.
I mean, think of it though. If you have something like right here on the Overwatch League jersey, every time they show that player, you're getting advertising.
Right.
So, I mean, did any of us care that the Valiant were, pushing Ash versus the Evil Dead? No, but every time they came out, we saw it on their jerseys, and we are talking about it, and that's what advertising is.
The biggest disappointment, though, is at no point during the season when they were shilling Ash versus Evil Dead, none of their players came out with either a chainsaw hand or the Ash puppet from season 2, which was the highlight of that whole season.
Wait. Oh no, Ash wasn't. They dropped the ball. They should have released actual Ash earlier. Oh, they dropped the ball on that one. Because they knew Ash, the character in the game, Ash, was coming out. They should have just released her earlier.
Yeah, where's
brand placement? Have
where's
you
a
not
Bruce
seen
Campbell skin for Ash? Come on.
Yeah. Have you never seen Wayne's World 2? Product placement is key. Get with the times, Overwatch League.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm wondering what's going to be next. Because we already have our car. We already have the soft drink.
And the beer.
Can you call it beer?
I mean, some people do. And those people would be wrong.
Yes. It's water with hops thrown on top. We have our junk foods. Do we need maybe a fast food chain? Like, we have Jack in the Box just for Dallas.
Right.
But maybe like a national, like
I mean,
Wendy's.
McDonald's sponsors Contenders Australia.
See, maybe we go something like that. Possibly.
And we still need our official airlines.
Oh yeah.
That'll be the next scene. With all the travel coming in for 2020.
Yeah, the travel definitely, or they get something like kayak.com or Expedia or something like that. So they do a travel website.
Right, and then they do like a promo code for Overwatch.
Yeah. See, there we go.
Well, what's going to help with that, Ed, is the metrics that we're getting from Nielsen, because we got a closer look at the key demos in regards to the Overwatch League. So, Overwatch League across the board has averaged a global average minute audience of 313,000 viewers, which, when you compare that year over year, is up 18%. So that includes, your digital platforms like Twitch, TV, so like, Disney XD, ESPN, your Asian streaming services like Hua, And you know what's interesting is like less than 1/3 of the Overwatch League viewership was in the U.S. I can't say I'm too surprised, just because you know they kind of expanded in the Pacific. You know, add in 3 Chinese teams, and you know, esports in Korea is still pretty big. But this season we have had, not including like planes or anything, 526 hours of content so far. And Overwatch League has just been killing it in the 18 to 34 demographic, which was up 11% year over year. And in the US, like, the viewers per minute in that demo is 55,000, which is pretty respectable. Now, we still have a long way to go if you want to compare it to traditional sports. But, you know, esports is one of the fastest growing markets. You know, the whole concept of a league is still relatively new in this particular scene. And this was like the first deal of its kind with like ratings when it comes to esports, and it kind of like opened the door for like Tencent Holdings to, you know, operate Riot Games to follow suit. So this is going to be something that we're going to be seeing more in the future in regards to esports. But having these key demos just getting knocked out of the park helps solidify not just the league, but it helps bring in the sponsors. And then that's why you start to see more sponsors that are targeting that specific demo moving forward.
Yeah, no, this is great. Like, hard numbers is what everyone kind of wants to see. Now, they in this article, they did mention, you know, obviously we fall well behind the likes of the NFL and the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think anyone in their right mind thinks that we're even remotely close to that.
Yeah, we're more XFL.
Yes. But that's what I want to see comparisons to. Mm-hmm. I want to see how we're doing compared to maybe things like the NHL or X Games or you know some of these smaller things that are out there. I'm not calling the NHL small, but of the major of the major 4, it's the smallest.
Yeah.
Like between NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL's the smallest.
Unless you're Canada.
Yeah. Even then.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they care more about it, okay? That was more before that, not...
Canada just won an NBA title.
Oh, that is true. Okay, in recent years, that still would have been the case.
But, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see how they compare. Like, I would have liked a list of, you know, kind of like where they sit, because I want to see those numbers compared with others. And, you know, I'm sure there's ways out there to find it, doing research. I'm just not doing that. Let's be real. I'm not going to research, you know, all these, you know, Nielsen ratings for all these, you know, sports or events going on to compare it to the Overwatch League. Just know Overwatch League is doing very well. Despite what some people might see, because like we went up in viewership, but on Twitch, where a large portion of the U.S. watches it, a very large portion, we actually saw a dip in numbers.
Right.
So people think, you know, oh my God, there's a dip in Twitch viewership. You know, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. When in actuality, we went up. And we wouldn't be getting these Coca-Cola's, Toyota, Anheuser-Busch, Pringles, Shit Cats, like all of these sponsors without growth. If we weren't getting growth, we'd start getting some of these real crap. Like we'd have Papa John's sponsoring us. Like those, and this isn't a knock on Papa John's because I actually like Papa John's pizza, but it's one of those organizations that's kind of spiraling down, and they're trying to invest more in marketing to boost their sales. You're not getting that in this case because it costs too much money for them.
Speaking of which, I mean, that is another sponsorship that we need. We don't have a pizza sponsor on the Overwatch League.
Who do we want, though? I don't want Domino's or Pizza Hut.
I mean, that's the thing, because, I mean, here's the thing when it comes to like major pizza franchises. They're all middling at best. So it's just like some are better than others. But like I like for me personally, like I am not a fan of Little Caesars pizza, but their crazy bread I would 100% sponsor.
What about screw that? Let's just go like DiGiorno's.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could go DiGiorno's, or even and I don't know how popular this is around the U.S., but Papa Murphy's. Like that's pretty popular in the Midwest, the shit area of the country that I live in. We'll get to that one later.
No, we are not going to sponsor Tombstone, which is effectively the cardboard iteration of pizza.
No. Although Reaper could do that. Reaper, Tombstone. I'm looking at synergies here.
I mean, yeah, you know, pie. Yeah.
That was bad even by my standards.
It's not the first time that's been brought up.
Cash, Papa Murphy's is one of those places. It's you order the pizzas, it's a take home and bake yourself. So they make it, you bring it home, you bake it yourself. It's phenomenal. If you have one near you, order it. Cheap pizzas, you just have to throw it in the oven for 15 minutes. The more you know.
Yeah, but you guys
Wow,
didn't think you were
went
going to
on a
learn about
pizza rant.
pizza brands today.
Do you guys have toppers down in Chicago?
Not in like the rural area. I'm not sure about downtown. It's been a while since I've spent a lot of time looking at pizza places downtown.
Toppers is like the epitome of drunk college pizza delivery. Like it's a phenomenal pizza delivery if you're a drunk college student.
The more you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's talk about the play-ins. And then we'll talk more about pizza later, because, you know, it's never a bad time to have pizza. I mean, you can have it anytime. At least that's what Megaplex has taught us. But basically, the play-ins happened. We have our top 8 locked in for the playoffs. So we kicked off with a battle of the Pacific between the Guangzhou Charge and the Chengdu Hunters. You know, the Hunters who clung on to that last spot because the Valiant shit the bed, not taking a single win against the other Cali teams. And lo and behold, we got our first look at Sigma play in the Overwatch League. And, you know, Hoppa looked pretty good. But it was the Doomfist Pharah play, which is something that we saw pretty extensively so far in the play-ins, that really got unleashed here. So Eileen comes in on the Doomfist, just cleaning up so much in the backline. And, you know, the crazy thing about this is it just seemed like, you know, the Hunters, they continue to not be able to match up to the other DPS. Jinmu had a very rough outing in here. Nero consistently was getting, like, back-to-back direct rocket hits, and then the Sky Battle at that point was won. Eileen would get in and get out, secure kills, and, you know, that would turn the fights in favor of the Charge. And, man, Yun Xiaolon had probably a rougher go, especially on the Sombra, who they were trying to counter with. In typical YXL fashion, the EMP usage was not good. Not a lot of value being done there. And, you know, it turns out when your ultimates take longer to you know, be earned, since, you know, there was a 12% reduction across the board, whiffing an ultimate, kind of a big deal. Now more than ever. So ult economy definitely comes into the discussion, and the Hunters, man, you know, they try to, you know, bring in Symmetra, you know, who we thought would be looking better in this meta. Turns out, no. Symmetra did not have an impact, except for moments when we would see, like, teleport to, like, points, basically. And that was about it. The problem that Symmetra had was, yes, she would be doing decent damage, but her survivability, especially when you compare it to Doomfist, is just not existent. Symmetra was getting blown up, and, you know, moving forward, based off of the play-ins, I'm not expecting to see Symmetra outside of those teleport shenanigans in the Overwatch League playoffs, because, you know, we've seen teams, like, even going into Stage 4, experimenting more with Symmetra, outside of, you know, just teleport strats, and it worked then, but, you know, we saw, like, kind of like a hard stop to it after this series, really, after seeing, like, how ineffective it was. So, you know, if you're Atlanta, I don't expect Baby Bay to just be like, oh, guess we're just gonna run the Symmetra as our answer to double shield. So, it was interesting to see, like, how quickly our perception of the meta shifted just with one series.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I said this last night on Odo by the Numbers. I was wrong. Like, I did not expect to see so much Sigma. And if we did, I expected a lot more Symmetra. I did not expect the Doomfist, Pharah shenanigans or toe suck.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna make it stick. Toe suck. That's what we're calling Sigma and Orisa comp. But, you know, this was the Hunters just didn't adapt. They didn't play well. And let's be real, they haven't played well in a while.
Yeah, I will say, like, initially when it came out with Double Barrier, you know, Hunters would get, like, the initial caps, and it would get good percentage. And then it would lose a fight, and then it couldn't wrestle control back. But then it was also, like, a one-and-done thing. Like, they would come out with Double Barrier, get what percentage they can, and then they would revert back to old Hunters. And then they struggled in that aspect, and then, you know, we would see the Charge adapt if they needed to. But I wouldn't say it was a terrible look, because they, you know, they were able to secure some objective time, but, like, it wasn't enough to get the job done at the end of the day.
No, and you're going up against Nero and the Charge, and it's just Nero. Yes, he did not play every single map, but man, he still looks real good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, Eileen on the Doomfist was good. Hotba on Sigma. I don't think. I mean, we'll talk about this when we get a little bit further into the deep dive and stuff like that, but Sigma has two completely different play styles.
Mm-hmm.
And Hotba played the more aggressive play style, and it worked out well. So, you know what, the Charge just kind of adapted to this new meta a lot better than the Hunters ever could, which is a little surprising because, like, you know, you definitely saw a lot of Pharah and you saw a lot of Doomfist coming from the side of the Hunters throughout the season, like the whole season. So they, you know, they're comfortable doing that. So, I mean, the fact that they weren't able to pull that off is surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, this is what happens when you don't have a, like, you have a main, but you don't have a true main tank. Honestly, you don't. Like, I know this has been a little bit of a main bashing on my part, and you know what? I've been known to do that. But it just, he has not impressed me.
Well, you know, the curious thing about Sigma is the fact that he is not just someone that's picked up by main tanks, but also off tanks. So, like, that was another thing that was really interesting this week. Like,
infuriating.
Like, in regards to fantasy, like, moving forward, it's gonna be really, really tricky to figure out, like, who we're gonna start on tanks, in that regard. But, you know, we did see some of the Korean teams opt to have their main tank playing Sigma, with their off tank transitioning over to Orisa. But, you know, what was surprising was, you know, we had that Dragons Fusion match, and we were kind of, like, talking on. We're like, okay, like, Dragons are looking pretty bad in Stage 4. Like, how good can they really be going into play-ins? Turns out, pretty good. I will say, they did have their struggles. And when you look back at this series, this was the Fusion series to win. They had so many opportunities. They had the time bank advantage on 3 games in this series. And the scoreline was 4-2 in the series. They had a time bank advantage in 3 games and won 0 of those maps. 2 ended in a loss, 1 ended in a draw, and it's moments like that it's really hard to get out of your head. You're feeling confident, and then you're a minute and a half, 2-minute advantage, completely gone. Ends in a loss. Happens again. And then you're like, well, shit, what do we actually have to do in order to pick up the win? Like, do you have to get, like, a 3-minute advantage? But with the way that the Fusion were playing, which the Fusion were playing like a very stubborn team, they're like, yeah, okay, Sigma's here, okay. Poke will be in Sigma, and to his credit, Poco probably had the most carry potential as an individual player on Sigma. The problem was, you had the Fusion, who, as a whole, did not adapt to the meta. They were like, okay, we did wildly okay with Mei Reaper. We're gonna keep with that. Like, we'll run EQO on the Mei. Carpe will be on a non-carry hero for him, on Reaper, and we'll go with that. We'll see how that does. Turns out, that strat, which, they were mildly average in Stage 4, did not work here. Dragons played the meta. They played the Pharah, they played the Doomfist, and, we didn't really see a ton of McCree from Carpe, even though that kind of counters those 2 heroes, which, one team in particular did that far better than anyone else, which we'll get into. But it was just one of those things where it's just like, I was disappointed in Philly not trying to do more. Like, they didn't give their DPS players an opportunity to shine on a role that would have performed better. And I don't know if it's just a case of them just not wanting to play the meta, if the coaches just felt like that was legit their best shot at winning, but if you're playing on Mecha base with Reaper Mei on the high ground trying to poke against a McCree comp, you're an idiot. Like, just don't. You're not going to do that. They didn't even try to rotate at all, and it was so infuriating. And the next time the Dragons played on that map, in the next round, London immediately rotated. They weren't going to do the high ground versus high ground poke battle against the McCree. They rotated, and they won. So, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Fusion came into it and was like, we know Sigma's good, but we don't know how good. We're just gonna throw Sigma in and go from there. Like you said, they just didn't adapt. They had every chance to win, and they just didn't do it. They just kind of sucked it up. And Shanghai, I mean, again, we talked about this last night. I think everyone was sour on the Shanghai Dragons. Because nobody knew what the meta was going to be. We didn't. Anyone who's like, the meta's going to be Sigma, Orisa, Doomfist, and Pharah.
Yeah, if we had an idea, a better understanding of what the DPS meta was, our
much higher on.
Would have been different with the Dragons, 100%.
Yeah, I would, because like you have Youngjin, who's basically only played when they brought him in on Doomfist. And then you have Ding, who is probably the best Pharah in the league.
Right.
Like, if those two are in the meta, basically, for the most part, then you know what? The Shanghai Dragon goes from like the bottom to, close to the top. And we just didn't know that. So, I think this was an even split of the Shanghai Dragons actually performing up to their potential and the Fusion playing like crap. Like, just thrown in the towel on a season that they basically almost wanted to be over with. And I expect massive changes for Fusion going into next season.
Despite how Fusion Uni performed in Korea. Yeah.
I expect just massive changes for them. So
yeah, so moving into that next round of the play-in tournament, that would set up a match between the London Spitfire, your defending champions, and the Shanghai Dragons. Now, guys, if you did not see this game, 1, where the hell were you on Saturday? 2, why? Because this was a match of the year candidate for the Overwatch League. It went 8 maps. And this was a very entertaining series. And this far surpassed any expectation I had between London versus whoever would have won Dragons Fusion. Like, completely different. So Shanghai ends up playing 15 maps across the weekend in the span of like 19 hours, which is another crazy thing. And you just had players shaking when this series was over. Like, poor Madojin, man, like, you could tell, like, he was getting really riled up throughout that series, and anytime the camera would pan over to him, you could see that, because he was shaken throughout, and the deeper this went into the series. But London, they come out, and they just absolutely roll Shanghai in the first 2 maps. And you start to think, like, is London really this good in this meta? And like, do they just have all the answers? And, you know, to Shanghai's credit, even after getting decimated the first 2 maps, they made this a series. So, you know, there were a couple of times where, you know, Shanghai at times would, kind of just miss the objective, which does happen. But, you know, they force Ilios, for the final map, you know, to force, like, the tiebreaker, so to speak, even though it was, like, map 8, because there was a draw in here. And they come out swinging, they are up 99-0, and the Spitfire end up getting the flip. And the Spitfire run it back. It was one of those moments where you're like, oh man, like, are London gonna clutch this out again this year? Like, I know we've had some levels of inconsistency with their DPS line, but it honestly felt like this was the Spitfire of old. Prophet unleashed his Tracer on Hanamura and just straight up murders a backline. Like, they had no answer. And London did an excellent job at dealing with the pressure of a Doomfist. Now, when it comes to Dean on the Pharah, that they struggled with, or against. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. I would imagine they're going to continue to try to, moving forward, win the crown battle, and, you know, hope that Prophet can do enough to kind of, like, distract whatever the opposition is in the sky. But being able to shut down the Doomfist was a huge key for London in this particular series, and they did punish Resurrects pretty heavily in this series. Kuma, who is known to be very aggressive when it comes to positioning with that sort of stuff, did not have the same success that he has had throughout this season. But, you know, I have to say, like, Dean definitely leveled up throughout this series, and he really helped propel the Dragons forward to make it a very close series. But what a thrilling way to start the second part of the play-in.
Yeah, no, this was, I mean, it wasn't the best series I've seen in Overwatch. Let's just get that straight. But it was definitely probably top 3 or 4 of the season so far for me. And initially watching it, I honestly thought that London was going to roll. And I think a lot of people saw that because London was playing so well. They took the first 2 maps. And, you know, we're just like, okay, here we go. This is going to be a quick one. And so on and so forth. And then you just started to see the Shanghai Dragons, like you said, kind of come into their own. And, you know, they're down 3-1 after 4 maps. Then they, you know, they win, then they tie, then they win. And then they go to the map 8, the first ever map 8 in Overwatch history. And not only does it go to, you know, the third map of that series, like it was down to the wire.
Yeah, and after bringing it back to force that map 8 and going up 99-0, like I thought the Dragons were gonna pull it off at that point. Like they were in that position, they just needed to win one more fight, and London just clutched it out, man.
Right. I do highly recommend people go back, and I believe it was the map 1, Busan. Go back there, and Ramses brought it up last night. Prophet versus Diem, 1v1, Widowmaker versus Reaper. Prophet was on Reaper, solo ulted Diem on Widowmaker. Diem hooked away, scoped in, headshot. Like, it was just a thing of beauty, and like that should have been the first sign that this is going to be such a good map. Like this series, it just like you saw the high level of play, the aggressiveness of the Sigmas. Whether it's like we kind of alluded to it earlier, but there's two type of Sigma players, because like on the Spitfire you had Gesture playing Sigma and Fury playing main tank, which is a little bit off the norm. You have your off tank playing Orisa, and you have your main tank playing Sigma. Now the debate is up there if Sigma's a main tank or an off tank. Blah blah blah. You know, battle for the ages. Off tank, by the way, 100% off tank. But I think you nailed it right on the head earlier when we were talking that the tank who it all depends on how the team wants to play with Sigma, because Sigma can be an insanely aggressive tank. Like one of the most aggressive tanks in the game can be Sigma, and if that's what the team wants to do, you give it to your most aggressive tank. So you saw this from not only the Seoul Dynasty, but also from the London Spitfire. You give it to Gesture, and you let Gesture be the aggressive tank. Hoppa, that aggressive tank style. Now, whether that's the main tank or the off tank, that is yet to be seen. And you can do this because Orisa is the lesser skillful main tank out of probably all the true main tanks. Like Reinhardt's probably skillfully harder to play than Orisa. Same with Winston, Hammond as well. So you feel more comfortable with your off tanks playing in Orisa than you didn't see Fury going on Winston to play tank. They all played the Orisa, and there's just less of a drop off if you want that more aggressive play style. And you saw that from the Spitfire, and man, it is going to be infuriating next year in Fantasy. Well, this weekend in Fantasy. Like, I don't know who the hell to take at tank this weekend.
I went with the players I knew would be playing Sigma.
Because Sigma...
Based off of the play-in, I should say.
Yeah, based off the play-in, because, like, Sigma is fantasy-wise, Sigma's putting up insane numbers. We think.
Yeah. I mean, well,
we don't have the actual numbers.
Based on the damage, or, like, some of the things, like, we heard from the stats from, like, Captain Planet during the broadcast, it does seem like Sigma was just grossly outweighing anything in the lobby, in regards to damage output. So I would imagine looking pretty good.
Yeah, and one other thing I noticed when watching this one, because like you, I had to go back and watch this because I was gone this weekend. One other thing I noticed is the emergence of almost Moira on every map.
Yes.
And that is a few things. It's the same reason Doomfist is on every map, because they go through shields. When you have double shields, you get stuff that goes through shields. Yeah, Doomfist does.
Turns out Coalescence pretty good against double barrier.
And you don't have a diva in there eating the orbs from Moira. So you can throw that damage orb right through. You'd be like, oh, you have shields? La-di freaking da. Like, my orb's going straight through them. It's the only way you can heal through the shields. So if if your team wants to dive in and take out the tanks, you throw that orb through the shields, and they actually can get heals. So like Moira, expect a lot of Moira, and you saw that, and we'll transition this to the next map. Series is Jaehong. Jaehong, the reason we saw Seoul, I think, really excel was Jaehong and Fitz, but Jaehong on the Moira, where he has always been well known for his Moira play, but Moira was never truly in the meta. And now that she is, Jaehong has his footing and is like in there as one of those.
Jaehong had his best performance of the season in the play-in.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, Seoul is I really, really wish they weren't playing the Titans next week or this week, because Seoul right now looks so scary. Look, they're one of those teams, like, everyone's fearing the Atlanta Reign coming into this when they should have been fearing Seoul Dynasty, because Fitz...
Which is crazy to think about, because we always joke about how many opportunities do we need to give some of these Korean teams.
Yeah, but, like, Fitz on Doomfist was insane.
Yeah, Doomfist.
Jaehong on Moira was great. Toby is... We touched a little bit on this on the, the role stars.
Right.
But Toby is so versatile between Lucio and Mercy.
Yeah, those sound barriers that answer the gravitic fluxes were absolutely ridiculous. But it was so crazy. Like, we saw the Charge come out in the first series and just dominate the Hunters. And we're like, oh man, this Charge team, like, they're living up to our expectations. And, with the Dynasty, there's always that, like, how impactful are the Dynasty going to be? Because they've always just kind of been a consistent team. But they haven't always been, like, the flashiest team, but they always haven't been so bad that you're just like, well, there's no way Dynasty are going to make it at this point. And... Charge had a lot of momentum going into this series, and the Dynasty come in, and they honestly just clowned him. It was a 4-1 scoreline in this series, and a lot of it does come down to the McCree play, specifically from Fleta. So, turns out McCree does pretty good against the two DPS who have been the primaries in this case, which would be Pharah and Doomfist. And poor Nero, man. Nero could not get any sort of angle thanks to Fleta. He would poke around a corner, get shot twice, and immediately have to retreat. Or even if he got shot once, he would have to move back, especially if it was a headshot, which happened quite a bit when it comes to Fleta. But, we got to see Marvel, who is the main tank for this team, playing the Sigma, which they were the second team to have the main tank playing Sigma in this case. And Marvel, man, like... He was flanking on Sigma, he was landing accretion shots from downtown, he was knocking Nero out of the sky with said accretions, he was canceling Shu's coalescence in a couple of moments, also with the rock throw, and Fleta just forces Nero off of his comfort pick. Like, he couldn't run Pharah in this series because Fleta was just on point. And honestly, anytime Nero peaked, it didn't look like Fleta was missing a single shot. Which is just so surreal. So, like, we finally get to see Fleta in his comfort zone. And if you're a team that's wanting to run Pharah, you're going to be hard-pressed to get any sort of opportunity against the Seoul Dynasty in the playoffs. So it really makes me question what the Titans' approach is going to be in the actual playoffs, but I was absolutely thrilled to see this sort of performance from the Seoul Dynasty. They punished Char's positioning throughout the series, which, was very similar to, like, what happened to Coma with the Dragons. And, right now, I feel like the Dynasty stock is a lot higher than a lot of us would have anticipated going in. Now, it does suck that my two teams have to face each other, so one of them immediately drops down to the lower bracket. But I feel like the Dynasty have a much better chance now, seeing what we have. Now, obviously, moving forward, Titans are going to have that advantage of having tape on the Dynasty in the current meta, whereas the Dynasty aren't going to know what the Titans are going to run. But if I'm the Titans, or the Dynasty, I'm fully expecting Bumper to be playing the Sigma. And I could not wait to see how Marvell is going to compare to Bumper. Because Bumper is just going to just keep pushing forward. So we'll see how Dynasty are going to be able to punish that in the first round.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of crazy. Like, Bumper on Sigma is going to be weird. But I think the crazy thing is like you talked about, is what are the Titans going to actually be running in this matchup? Because like we were talking, and who's their Doomfist? Like we get it, fair Doomfist is the meta for DPS, but like if you're switching out one of the heroes, you're switching out the Pharah for like the McCree or Reaper or something like that. But you're always sticking with the Doomfist. So is Haxel secretly a Doomfist god? Because that would not surprise me. But like they don't really have a Doomfist player on that team. And so I'm interested to see where they go with that.
Yeah, the crappy thing about this for the Titans is Haxel is your projectile player. And he has played a ton of Pharah, and he has played Doomfist. But when we're talking about this meta, there are teams that dictate the battle on the ground, and teams that dictate the battle in the sky. And we've seen success on both angles, but which one do you favor? In this meta, I think you favor the Doomfist play. So if I'm the Titans, I would have Haxel on the Doomfist in this situation, but then it's just a case of what do we run with it? Like, are we going to see like Doomfist Sombra and have them run in Stitch on the Sombra? I'm not sure. So it does really raise kind of a red flag for the Titans, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, obviously they've had a lot of time to prepare for the playoffs. They've had more time to scrim on the current patch, and they do have one of the best coaching staffs in the league. So I still have confidence. I'm just anxious to see where the pieces fall into place on this particular team, because we don't have a lot of questions comparatively to like the other teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would put money on it being Stitch and Haxel. So Haxel playing Doomfist, and then Stitch rotating between Sombra and McCree. Because you're seeing a lot of McCree, because McCree is pretty much a pretty good counter to both Doomfist and Pharah. And Stitch's McCree play is well known, well documented. So I would expect to see those two as your starting DPS lineup. But it's not as clear-cut who's going to win as I thought it would be a week ago. Like, a week ago, I'm like, okay, Vancouver versus Seoul. Vancouver's going to win 4-0. Now it's like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of us were expecting Fusion to be in this spot. And they're not. I mean, that was pretty clear-cut across the board from us. And that was kind of thrown out the window. Like, even... Like, you could honestly make a case for the Dragons too, but the Titans have been pretty consistent across the board. But, like, at this point, I honestly don't even know what to believe. Like, we could see, a team like the Excelsior make a deep run this year based off the DPS pairings that we've been seeing. Who knows at this point, but Dynasty Titans is going to be very entertaining. I couldn't think of a better way to kick off the playoffs. And then that leads into the LA Gladiators going up against the Hangzhou Spark. Now, Gladiators all season long, they've been talking about how they have the best DPS. Let's see how that comes into play. There's... with the Gladiators, there's a lot of overlap, and there's really only one other team that deals with that more so, and I think that would be New York. But Gladiators, they've had some pretty strong performances from Void in particular as their off tank. So in this case, for the Gladiators, I would assume that Void would be the Sigma player for the Gladiators, and for the Spark, Gushue would probably be my pick in regards to the Sigma play. So I just want to see how each of these teams is going to incorporate it and how those playstyles are going to vary. Because obviously, we've seen different Sigma players have better strengths. Obviously, Marvell was kind of like doing everything. Like, Marvell was definitely the strongest Sigma to me throughout the playing tournament. Now, granted, that was off of one series, and it was kind of a stomp, but he was doing so much with the toolkit, and, like, really, no one was safe from the accretion. Now, that being said, we also really haven't seen someone stand out more so than others in regards to the Gravitic Flux. Like, the play with the alts has been all over the place. So I'm curious to see if that is going to level up at all, or if we're just going to see a lot of severe lack of value from the alt, which could definitely come back to bite people in the ass. But I will say, Ed, I was happy to see that the whole removing people from the point from Gravitic Flux did not really come into play as much as we had expected going in.
I'm very happy for that. Like, I thought that was going to be a big issue, and we didn't really see it. I still feel it's an issue, but we did not see it.
Well,
as
that's what happens when people can actually move out of the circle.
And we also saw that the ultimate in the meta is truly, it's effective, but it's not as effective as I think a lot of people thought it would be. Because there are a lot of ways, like, with Orisa, they can just, fortify, and it just doesn't affect them.
Yeah,
you do see the sound barrier. It's just like, all right, go ahead. We're going to take a decent amount of damage, but nobody's going to die. So people are avoiding it, and it's not as effective. And it's now, to me, it's more of a Diva-esque ult. It's a zoning ult that may get a kill. Like, that is how I see the Sigma's ult. And, Sigma's strong. The ultimate is in a good place. I don't think the ultimate is overpowered. I don't think it's underpowered. I think Sig's ultimate is just right. So, but I'm glad we're seeing it be less like dominating as we did see it before it got into the Overwatch League players' hands.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of this particular series will probably boil down to Adora. Like, Adora's kind of been the consistent what is this person doing? Like, player on the Spark. But, like, honestly, like, this one is honestly a coin flip for me. The Gladiators DPS lineup hasn't been as strong as I would have liked. But I'm really excited to see, maybe Surefour would be one of those players who actually dominates on this Symmetra. Who knows? I'm not going to expect it. But I just want to know what Hydration's role is going to be, because there is definitely a situation where he comes in and plays Sigma for this team. But then he's also your best Doomfist option. So I would imagine he'll be on DPS in regards to this series. But you know what? If he ends up, like, benching Void, I also wouldn't be completely shocked on that regard either. So I honestly don't know. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to LA in this situation. And, it's funny seeing how, like, China went from, like, oh, like, we have everyone in the playoffs to now they, only have one in the official postseason.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think the Gladiators, as much of a Spark fan as I am, I think the Gladiators will probably end up winning this one purely from a flexibility standpoint. Because, like you said, we don't know what Surefour is going to do, what Hydration is going to do, what Decay is going to do. Like, who's going to be playing what? We just don't know. And all of them can play those those roles at a high end, whereas the Spark are kind of stuck who they're starting. That's really about it, and we don't know how well they can. Is Adora going to be your Doomfist? Is Godspeed going to be your Doomfist? Like, who's going to be playing what? I think the only thing you can say for certain is that IDK and Bebe are going to be your healers, and Gu Shui and Rhea will be your tanks. But you don't know what roles they're going to be in. So I feel the Gladiators will probably sneak away with the win on this one. Probably like a 4-2, maybe a 4-3, but probably a 4-2. I don't think it's going to be a rollover on this one.
Yeah, now it's important to note, like, as we advance, so, like, those are the Thursday games, so, like, you will have the winners of these two series facing off against each other, same with the losers from these series in the lower bracket, and that's going to be the same case with the games on Friday, so that'll be similar as well. So on Friday, we have a battle of Korean teams again, in this case, to kick off the day. We have the London Spitfire going up against the New York Excelsior. Okay, so all memes aside, we always meme on New York and the whole one and done situation, which would get changed in this case because you got to lose twice to be knocked out of the playoffs because it's double elim. New York are a very interesting team in this current meta. I feel like the perception is kind of skewered a little bit, not just due to past play performances, but the fact that we kind of had like that meme game with Vancouver Titans, where it was just kind of like off the walls, and like I don't know how much we should read into the effectiveness of Flower based off of that match, because it was just like such a weird series. But knowing that Pharah is going to be meta, you have to feel a little bit better if New York. It's just a matter of how are the players going to deal with the pressure that not only do they put on themselves, but also that fan base. Because New York does have one of the bigger fan bases out there, and everyone knows, like, they have not had a good track record in the postseason. And, despite how strong they look in the regular, season, it does not translate to success in the playoffs, which sucks, because you want to see a team have that type of performance throughout the entirety, and, have something to walk away with at the end of the season. And, New York, it's always a question of, like, okay, well, Flower is probably going to be in, because of the Pharah. It's just a matter of who is your Doomfist player going to be on this team. Now, obviously, SBB is, like, the leader of this team in regards to the DPS, but he's also been primarily benched. Like, Libero has been their primary flex option, and the problem is there's so much overlap on this team with the DPS, because so many of them have a deep hero pool. And it's because of that we don't always get to see everyone. And they do tend to rely more on Libero just from a consistency basis. So I don't know if it's going to be Libero Flower. I don't know if it's going to be SBB Flower. But this is a team where I could honestly see either tank picking up Sigma. Like, I don't think there's going to be a bad choice on either side. I want to see, in a case where the main tank on the opposition is playing Sigma, if you mirror based off of that, or if you just go with what you feel like is your best option from a comfort level between your tanks. Like, does one have a greater benefit against, a main tank playing Sigma over the other? I honestly don't know, and that's something I'm really curious to see. Because right now, it's the Korean teams that are favoring their main tank players playing that particular role with Sigma.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you have to consider is Nene. Mm-hmm. In this. Like, I would not be shocked if Nene took over for Meko and played Sigma. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Nene started off in Contenders at XL2 as a tank player. Before moving over to DPS and taking Flower's job. Like, I mean,
or Nanohana's job, technically, in this
whatever.
case, back when, he changed his ID 4 times.
But I mean, would I be surprised about that? No. I think Flower is a safe bet to start, especially on the Farah. And then Libero, it's not starting Libero is kind of like not starting Surefour, not starting Fleta. It's one of those. It's one of those players who has such a deep hero pool that you can count on them no matter what. And like Libero is like their one constant on the DPS line.
Right.
So I'm thinking Libero, Flower, Mono, and then either Meko or Nene. I think that's where you could really have a wrench thrown in. But I don't know if I have faith in New York. They've looked so bad, and London looked so good, and they looked like London of old, like the dominant London. And it's hard for me not to pick London Spitfire for this one. I want to pick New York, and I want to have faith in them, but they've literally given me nothing this season to go off of to have me put that faith into them.
Yeah,
yes, they're the number 2 seed, but they're the number 2 seed by default.
Yeah, because of the division.
They beat up on a weak division. It's 5 Pacific teams and then them are the top 6 basically. And the only other one I think that is 6 or 7, 6 because it's Atlanta, beat them 90% of the time. Like, I mean, New York beat up on a weaker division, got a good record, and got the number 2 seed. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know if I have faith. But if they change it up to the Flower, Libero, Nene, Mono, and then you got, the support line, they might have a chance. But I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, to me, the biggest takeaway was Spitfire's performance versus Farah. If Flower comes in and plays to his potential, that would put New York in the absolute best position to advance in this series. So if Flower has a standout game, New York will take it. If that doesn't happen, it's gonna go to London. Similar to like how I was talking about like in the play-ins, I was like, okay, if Dynasty go up 2-0, they're gonna run with it, which they did. And if they didn't happen, then it would happen because of how close the DPS has been between the two. And sure enough, Dynasty ended up taking that. So if Flower does good, I have faith in them in this case. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, I just want, regardless of what part of the bracket, I want Atlanta versus New York in the playoffs. I want that storyline. I want to see if New York can bring it back and make the fan base forget about those 2 prior losses to Atlanta when everything is on the line. Because that, to me, would speak more than New York just escaping out of the round of 8. Because that would be those Atlanta games were the games that would mentally boom a team.
Now, Trenchfoot in chat is basically bringing up, what about Pine? Didn't say that exactly, but NYXL unveils the new medium boss Pine. These Sherpas.
The option is there, but I feel like it's only if they opt to use him as an Ilios specialist. So obviously against double barrier, Widowmaker, not the best. Yeah, we did see Widow. It wasn't a lot. They were able, DM was actually able to get some pretty good value, but you didn't see it that often.
And if you have Flower,
it's map specific.
If you have Flower in there, you have a capable Widow. You do. Now, Pine also played McCree very well, especially on Ilios, which is in the map pool. But here's the problem with that is in this meta, from what we saw on McCree, he's more defensive in regards to how he's played now. He's more protecting the back line. He's flashbanging the Doomfist, staying back, poking at the Pharahs, keeping them at bay. He's not playing the Pine aggressiveness, and he can't because he loses all his effectiveness in this meta.
I think on Ilios in particular, that's not too much of a concern to me, just because you are playing more with the sight lines, especially like knowing how the Pharah positions on this map, because a lot of it is like over the one side opposite of the lighthouse.
Yeah, it is, but like you're bringing in an aggressive McCree to essentially just go after a Pharah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a Pharah 1v. If Pharah versus McCree 1v1 usually ends in the McCree losing because the Pharah can have more movement, more erratic movement than a McCree can. And you don't have the splash damage from a McCree that a Pharah would have. You also don't have the Pharah on the McCree like the Pharah is on, or the Mercy is on the Pharah. And he's shooting against double shield, so he loses his effectiveness there. And then if he's not back with like the back line and the tanks, the Doomfist is just going to wreak havoc.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to get aggressive on the Pharah and the Mercy, but then he loses the ability to help protect the rest of his team.
Yeah, the thing is too in that regard is when you look at the Pharah versus McCree, we don't have the best read on it right now because we've seen the McCree pick boom and we've seen it bust. So like, it's hard to say like what impact Pine would be, if it's gonna be the Pine of old or current Pine. Who knows? Like obviously he's been riding the bench a lot, so your guess is as good as ours in this case.
Yeah, I would not bet on Pine being brought in at all.
And if he does come in, I would only expect it on Ilios. Nothing else.
And almost in a Mickey type situation, if they're getting rolled, they're going to bring him in.
Potentially, yeah. So the other game on Friday is Atlanta Reign versus the San Francisco Shock. And, like, I'll be honest, in this meta, I do have question marks about the Reign. Like, I don't know who's going to play what on this team, and that does scare me. But I don't want to discredit the run that Atlanta has been on. They have had good flexibility. I don't know who's going to play what in regards to the rules for them. Same with kind of like who's going to play Sigma on this team. Like, FRD has definitely leveled up as this season has progressed, and I could see him honestly playing Orisa or Sigma in this case. And if you're the Shock, man, it's so hard for me to get a read on the Shock. All I know is throughout the season, this team has kind of had their own way of doing things. Like, they don't follow the trends, they set them. They were at the forefront with Baptiste playing the league. Obviously, Raska was doing that, and he was easily the best Baptiste in the league, bar none. There was no competition. And yes, part of that is because he was one of the few players playing it, but, he was using it as more of a hybrid, as opposed to, just flat-out spamming, your alt fire. And we've seen so many pieces of the Shock. We've seen them fully utilizing their bench, to close out the regular season. And you have someone like Krusty at the helm of this team. And at the end of the day, like, the coolest thing about this is you have, Sephi basically facing this team of old, and then you have, like, the Shock, or the new team. It's just like, oh, I'm so excited about this match. Either one of these teams, no matter who advances, would have a very good shot at making a run on the other side of the bracket. And, for me, I want the Shock to win, and London to win the prior game, just so we do get Reign versus NYXL. Because to me, that would be the biggest story for the Reign and Excelsior in this case, is having that redemption story. Even though, Atlanta technically won the season series, if New York just comes in and, wins or loses and then faces Atlanta, and then for them to just eliminate Atlanta, that would be, to me, the best story for New York throughout the entirety of the season. Better than, winning the division or anything like that. Better than winning a game in the playoffs. Just knowing that they were able to get Atlanta out of their head when it mattered.
Yeah, I fully expect the Shock to win this. I think, Sinatra has been playing nothing but Doomfist coming into this. And then, I know me and you disagree on this. I think Rascal's a person who's getting benched. I think they bring in Architect to play the Pharah.
You want to do a skin bet on this one in that regard?
All right, what would it be? Like whoever plays the most maps?
Yeah.
Between the
two.
Architect, between the two?
Mm-hmm.
All right, skin bet. All right, we'll do that. Watch, it's like
we're both gonna be wrong, and they're gonna be like, we're running Striker Sinatra, and we're just be like the.
Or they just play Architect's Rascal in all the math.
Yeah.
Well, shit. But I think they're going to play Architect a little bit more in Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you got that. Obviously, you got Violet and Moth in there. That's pretty much a staple.
Mm-hmm.
And those of you who play Daily Fantasy League, it is getting changed. I don't know if you saw this for the Friday matches, but Violet only cost 1 point.
Nice.
I'm like, I feel that's broken, and that's getting fixed.
At minimum, he should be 5.
Yeah,
what the standards should be. But no, he would never be 5.
He's getting changed to 21 points, up from 1. So those of you who put in your rosters, you're going to have to go change it. Just throw that out there. And then I think you're going to see Super, and you're going to see Choi Oben. And I think you're going to see Super on the Sigma. Gold. Yes, even though Choi Oben's a gold level tank. I think you're going to see Super on the Sigma because, well, you know what? Super insanely aggro.
Yeah, and if there's one thing we know about, that selfless coaching staff, they're gonna be in your face the entire time, and this one is gonna be hyper aggressive on both sides.
Exactly. So I fully expect the Shock to win this one, setting up the Atlanta versus New York, which will build on the rivalry going into next year, which is something the Overwatch League needs. They need something outside of LA versus LA. They don't have any of those other rivalries. Like, maybe Dallas versus Houston, but it's not built up enough.
Right.
And that's kind of like a manufactured rivalry. This is like a gameplay rivalry between New York and Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But I want to see that as much as you.
Yeah, I would say Shock probably 4-2 in this series. Setting up Atlanta either obviously versus London or New York, but that's going to be based on Flower and the Pharah play in the prior series. So in regards to the other games, because we do play Thursday through Sunday this week, on Saturday we are going to the losers bracket. So you will have the losers from Thursday playing the first game, and then the losers that were from the Friday games playing second on Saturday. And then the upper bracket, the winners bracket, would continue on Sunday. So that'll be interesting. So, based off of what we're feeling, looking at the brackets, we would have, Dynasty versus Spark, which would be interesting because the Spark have done pretty good against, the Pacific teams, China and Seoul. And then likely Excelsior versus Reign, which would be pretty exciting. So that would set up on the top half, Titans, Gladiators, and then Spitfire Shock. But, you know, again, like, we still don't know, like, we'll have to see how the week plays off. So it really doesn't make any sense to, like, deep dive into previews for that, and I know we are, getting up there in time, you know, as we usually do. But with that being said, guys, we will be posting our brackets in the Discord. I wanted to wait till we did, like, all of our previews and whatnot. So, like, we'll probably post them either tonight or before the games tomorrow. And I would love to see everyone else's bracket as well, if you're listening to the audio version. And we'll see who can get the most predictions right. Because I know, like, our initial one, completely wrong anyway, so, like, we gotta redo it. But probably would have been okay, except for, you know, the charge not making top 8. So with that being said, guys,
I think everyone got the Charge one wrong.
Yeah.
Because Charge were like the hot team coming into the playoffs. And
yeah, out of all of those teams that were in the play-ins, yes. Bar none. No comparison. But with that being said, let's go ahead and close it out for the night. So if you guys want to help us out, you know, one of the best things to do is to go head over to iTunes, send us a review, let us know how we're doing, let us know what you would like to see improved on our show, so we can, you know, better improve the listening experience for you guys. So we do have a couple of reviews this week. So Ed, I'm gonna take the first one for reasons, because I know Snark is gonna come at some point, and then kind of like a half chuckle because he doesn't know.
What?
But anyways, first off, we got a 5-star iTunes review, and this is from ShaneFly27, who says, "I love the podcast. It's amazing. I can listen to something offline while mowing the lawn now." Which, how big of a lawn do you have? Like, do you listen to the entirety of the episode in this time? Because
do you live on a golf course?
That maybe that's what it is. Let us know, Shane. We'll get back to us. That was my question.
Do you mow the lawn at like a cemetery, or what's going on here?
Yeah.
We need more
is
info.
This like, do you listen to part of it while you're mowing, or do you finish the entirety? We just don't know. But we appreciate you having a distraction, you know, while you're doing something else. You know, it's good multitasking. That's an important thing to do in life, so we appreciate that. And he says also, Baby Bay is the best DPS in the world, and he put that in all caps. And he put it in all caps to showcase that he was serious. And we do not agree with you.
Like, if that was the case, he would be playing every map.
Yeah.
Awkward.
And that was also the case, even on a team that has been average, or slightly above average, like London, for example, his stats wouldn't be impacted. Now, you know, Prophet, you know, he was like one of the best DPS last year. London's kind of been just existing. Like, they haven't been spectacular, but they haven't been, you know, doghouse tier. But Prophet's numbers still like top 3 across the board in every major category. So it just shows how good of a player he is. But yeah, I don't think Baby Bay's up there. I'm just saying.
No, he's not.
No,
He's just no.
But you know, we can't deny his presence on stage, at least from a persona level, and that's honestly the best thing about Atlanta. Let's be real. Like, they have that swagger.
Mm-hmm.
About
they
it.
do have that. So I'm gonna read the one that I wanted to read. Okay, so we got a 3-star review from Dan 146842147.
That's a lot of dance.
It's, you know what, that is a lot of dance.
My question to be: is there any significance with the number in his name?
I was like, no, it's one number too long for a phone number. So yeah, I don't know.
That would also be weird.
That would be. So Dan, we'll just go with Dan. We'll play it simple. Gave us a 3-star review, but 5-star review for Totem and a 1 for Ed. Ed, stop talking about other sports, specifically anything in the Midwest. You live in a trash area of the country and no one cares. Totem, you are awesome and a saint for dealing with all of Ed's complaints. I truly don't know how you do it. Now,
normally,
I have one question about this, and it's not, you know what, you don't like all my complaints and all my ranting. Fine. Totem, where do you live?
Chicago.
Is that in the Midwest? I can't. I'm trying to picture you.
The last time I checked,
within
yes,
an hour and a half of where I live, and not being in the Midwest is. I'm not a geography major.
You know what's not in the Midwest? Toronto.
See, I was trying to decide on where I offended Dan, and I'm like, is he from Canada? Is he just an angry Southerner? Like, a trash part of the country leads me to believe it's not Canada, because they wouldn't refer to the Midwest as a trash part because they're in the North.
They would be too polite about it.
Yeah, I'm going with the South. I'm gonna go with this is a Southern U.S. review. Maybe Texas.
You know, the thing for me is, I'm more surprised that it's not. How do I deal with the off-kilter conversations when it go all off topic? Like, see, that to me, I can legitimately understand. But you know what? That's why people also tune into this show. Like, there are times when, you know, we'll just go on random tangents, and we go where the conversation takes us, and that's just part of our charm. And that's not something that's going to change at any point.
No, we joke about this, and Dan, thank you for the review. You know what? It's kind of part of our banter. It's our back and forth. That's how we do our show. It's, you know, we are the you're the Shannon Sharp to my Skip Bayless. Like, I'm the person who just like shoots out the most random crazy shit. And the first thing that pops into my head, whether it's true or not, I don't care. It's the first thing that pops into my head. I'm Bren, you're Sideshow. Like, that is how our dynamic works.
Are you calling me a thrower?
No. Am I? Maybe. But like, it's just what works best for us. And, you know, we've done 76 episodes now of this. 77.
Well, together.
No, I think we're at 77 or 78 because I guessed it on like 2 episodes before I joined in. That just works for us.
And,
but, you know,
as a side note too, there's one thing in particular that could easily fix this. Easily.
What is this?
And that is if Overwatch League had a team in Chicago.
Right? 100%. Also, us talking about other sports is not going to stop now that football's around.
Yes.
Considering me and Totem are in a content creators fantasy football league.
Which I auto-drafted, by the way. And
you auto-drafted and did well.
I will say, like, I always chuckle when I look at the draft grades. I was like, okay, what did my auto-draft get? And, like, Yahoo graded it an A-, and everyone else was, like, B or below. And yes. I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah, so it gave us those grades, but, like, AJ Green, all right, off topic, not talking about Overwatch League NFL right now. I drafted AJ Green as my number 3 wide receiver. Well, AJ Green's out, but in Yahoo's eyes, I drafted him as a starter. So they graded my team with a wide receiver out.
Right.
So I'm like, well, how are you gonna do that? In Yahoo?
Yeah, don't want to read too much into it, but we do appreciate both of the reviews that were sent our way. But if you guys out there want to find additional content to consume, either while you're mowing the lawn or otherwise, be sure to check out Overwatch Recall, where we have our podcast directory for all things Overwatch, whether it's Variety Overwatch, Overwatch League, like Pat the Pro podcast, and, I would say fantasy podcast, but, Foul Play's wrapped up for the season, and I know OWL by the numbers.
We'll be wrapping up soon.
We'll have a couple more episodes before we wrap up until the new season starts as well. But check out Overwatch Recall on our website, and then to keep up to date with the latest, including the episodic listens from, the weeks for the weekly recall, follow Overwatch Recall on Twitter at OW Recall. Now, if you would like to support our podcast network, because we do have a number of shows, we do have a couple of options right now on Twitch. Subs are discounted because it is September, so I think they're half off.
Yep.
So whether you subscribe via Twitch Prime, throwing us the $2.99 or whatever it is now for the month, is greatly appreciated. We also do have Patreon, where we have tiers starting at just $1 a month. So for more info on that, be sure to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/OWL Network, so you too can join the likes of our master and above patrons, Blazabob, Brendan, Owl, and then our two musical patrons, Jay-Z and Kesha.
Yes!
In helping our network
I've
grow.
converted them.
So...
If Jay-Z and Kesha come out with a song together, like the actual Jay-Z and Kesha...
That'll be our new theme.
That has to be our theme song.
Yeah, or we'll work it into a segment somehow.
Yes. It's gonna happen.
We should tweet at them and make it happen.
Yes, because Jay-Z and Kesha are like, ooh, this Ednar guy, I've heard about him. He's a real D-bag from the Midwest, but he's got a good idea.
So we'll see if we make any ground on that aspect. But in regards to how you can contact the show, of course, we got a number of different ways how you can do that. So Ed, why don't you let them know where they can find us?
All right, so you can reach us over on email at hndoverwatch@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, and that's at hndoverwatch. We do have a website, and that's www.owlandshow.com. We are on YouTube, and that's youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. And today,
wait, I should confirm whether or not the video is up before we actually
slowly talk about this, about how we might have a video deep diving into Sigma with the release of Season 18 and the re-release.
It is, in fact, up.
Okay, so Spider didn't drop the ball.
It has 2 likes so far.
2 likes.
Yes, which is 100%.
One from Spider and one from Spider's wife. So go over there, check that out. We are on Discord at discord.me/OWLshow. As Totem mentioned, we are on Twitch, twitch.tv/OWLshow. It is September, so come over there, throw the Twitch Prime subscription over onto our channel, and earn our network emoticon.
Okay.
We do.
Before we go on really quick,
oh Lord,
I just need to say something about this video. I'm looking at the runtime. Spider says it was initially 10 minutes. He's like, no, 14. He's brought in both accounts. It is 13 minutes and 19 seconds.
So
it's also linked in the Twitch chat if you guys want to go check out the video. I'll tweet out the details after the fact. I just want to point that out.
You're legit the worst human being alive, Spider. So we do stream on Twitch pretty regularly, podcast regularly. So Overwatch League Network airs usually Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. OWL by the Numbers airs Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific for a couple more weeks before we take our break in the off season. We have the show Heroes Never Die, airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, and then host streams when available run on a flex schedule. So be sure to follow us to be notified when we go live, and we'll be doing anything from Overwatch to Classic WoW to probably Classic WoW. And we do have the Patreon, like Totem said, at patreon.com/OWL Network. So come over there, make sure to help us out any way you can. You can follow me personally on Twitter at EdinarOverwatch. Totem, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me over on Twitter at TotemlyDrunkCTR. But with that being said, that's going to do it for us here tonight. It's been another lengthy one. I'm really excited for the playoffs. Kicks off tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to play what on the Titans and whether or not the Dynasty can continue that dominance. But you have been listening to episode 176 of Heroes Never Die. I've been your host, Totally Drunk, joined as always by my co-host, Edinar, and we hope to see you guys back for our next show. Enjoy the first week of the playoffs, and we'll see you back on Monday as we recap everything that happened on Overwatch League Network. Take care and have a good night, guys.
Have a good one.